a genre we all want to be afraid of, have evolved to be a blockbuster. It only works if it is done correctly. As it originates from the childhood of cinema, it drives the audience to achieve some grand gesture in a way to be scared. It's a thrill with its gory plots. Just like a roller coaster, the intensity is similar. As you go up, you dread to go down. The short amount of minutes you're feeling the adrenaline rushing. Characters, just like any other story, a good and dynamic, relatable person could make or break the story. It has a crucial task to make your account enjoyable, especially when the story you're telling is in the horror genre. Movies like Alien, Jaws, The Shining, The Exorcist, or even the Conjuring movies is a proof of it. The building of tension. One of the things these popular films share is memorable characters that are still quotable and memorable decades later. Another thing these movies have in common is the pace. The build-up to an intense climax is barely ever seen in modern horror movies. Hereditary, that barely shows any gore or blood, constitutes that it was possible through only tension to make a watchable movie, combined with death and the occult. The quality of a good, thrilling movie is rare, as it often gets a feeling that this has already been done earlier. Horror stories, in general, are the most scared ship of all of us. But most movies don't. Annabelle Comes Home justifies this example. It can and should all be scary and frightening, but killing isn't that necessary. Although the murders are the joy almost for every audience in a horror movie, that's why you're looking for something like that. This year, aka 2023 collection of horror, hasn't overflowed with high quality films. The last one in the scenes has had some buzz, but doesn't live up to the hype. So let's take a look at older movies and hope this fall will be better. It Comes at Night from 2017 showcases that the fear was only psychological but not that effective. Don't Breathe made the horror be claimed on a blind man protecting his home. This spawned even more for that subject, as John Krasinski from The Office directed, wrote and acted in the popular film A Quiet Place in 2018. This movie used ultra-sensitive monsters as the central theme. As the movie goes on, there is barely any dialogue in this post-apocalyptic setting. So why did it work? Not only, but it was also a well-directed production combined with a thoughtful theme. Hearing disability is probably not a new setting to make these characters interact within this world, but it is also an effective way to make the narrative far more interesting. Another movie that has later on become a blockbuster is It, a demon clown that terrorizes a small town and takes on teenage children. As expected and how to showcase its theme, Fight Your Fears, it does it in an easy way to understand the narrative. So what does these horrors have in common that so many other movies lack? First on, it's the story, the narrative that makes your audience embrace the nature of this fictional world. Second, it's the characters. It's hard to care for characters that don't have an emotional impact on you. That would mean it's a waste of time and effort if you're going to have to spend hours on end for a TV show and a feature film. Third, the theme of the movie. What is it all about? Yes, these three are very obvious when making a movie. It also applies to every genre too. But some directors seem to forget that it doesn't have to be about the horror element. It's all about the narration, the story itself, and why you're telling this specific story. If you're not thinking through these three and finding the right balance, some eradicate poems will follow. Many horror movies have now become a barrage of jump scares and gory visuals, sidelining the essence of storytelling. This results in temporary shocks rather than lingering unease. Good horror is about building an atmosphere of suspense and dread, not just shocking the audience with momentary frights. Great horror embeds itself in the audience's mind, creating an unease that lingers well after the credits roll. We can take example from classic horror films. They weren't just about the scares, but were more about the looming threats, the mounting dread, and the spine-chilling atmospheres. There was a depth to the story, an underlying message that left the viewers thinking. Sound and music are integral elements. The dissonant notes, the sudden silence, or the creaking of a floorboard in a quiet house are elements that build an atmosphere more than the visual of a ghost or a monster. And most importantly, it's about humanity. At the heart of every good horror movie there is a human story. It's about our fears, our regrets, our hopes, and our nightmares. When we connect with the characters on a human level, their fears become our fears. Their dread become our dread. In conclusion, a good horror film is a sum of its parts, but the essence lies in storytelling, the narrative. The world is filled with real and imagined horrors, and cinema offers a safe space to confront and make sense of these fears. If done right, horror can be more than just scary. It can be an exploration of the human psyche, and that's where its true potential lies.